This podcast is brought to you by Mudwater.
Dave, Mudwater, I'm just now hearing about this stuff. I've got to know, is this how you get away with never drinking coffee?
Yeah, I've never had coffee really in my life. I tasted it, but it's never been my thing. I've always been more of a tea drinker. I like my green tea in the mornings, but I've been introduced to Mudwater recently, and it's changed up my whole morning routine. Mudwater is a coffee alternative with 4 adaptogenic mushrooms and Ayurvedic herbs. It has 1/7 of the caffeine of a cup of coffee, where you get the energy without the anxiety, the jitters, or the crash of the coffee. It's got some amazing ingredients in there too. You got cacao and chai for mood and microdose caffeine, lion's mane for alertness. You got some cordyceps to help support physical performance, chaga and reishi to support your immune system, turmeric for soreness, cinnamon for antioxidants. The stuff is just packed with amazing things that you need on a daily basis. And the taste is incredible. It tastes kind of like a spicy hot chocolate. It's awesome in the mornings. It really kind of just sets my day off right. I'm a big fan of all the ingredients in there. I love how it doesn't kind of kick me into too much gear. Coffee always gives me the jitters, and I really just appreciate something that kind of gives me a nice level feeling throughout the day in terms of that energy boost. I'm a huge fan of this stuff, and I'm so glad I was introduced to it.
Man, Dave, you've got me sold. I tell you what, with my 3 cups of caffeinated coffee a day and 3 cups of decaffeinated, I got to do something. So I'm going to give this a try.
I would do it. Mudwater is Whole30 approved. It's 100% USDA organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan. It's kosher as well. If you go to mudwater.com, that's MUDWTR.com to support the show, you can use the code PowerMonkey, all caps, for $5 off. Again, that's PowerMonkey, all caps, for $5 off. Go to mudwater.com, check out more. Welcome to the Power Monkey Podcast, where we chat with the best in the world about what they do. I'm your host, Dave Durante, with my co-host, Chad Vaughn. And on today's episode, we have Spencer Panchik. Now, Spencer is, of course, part of the Panchik family. They are considered to be royalty within the CrossFit space between his brother, Saxon, and also his older brother, Scott. I don't think you're going to find a more fit family anywhere in the world. We talk about that, what it's like to be part of such a fit family, but also what it's like to be a top competitor and an affiliate owner at the same time. Him and his brother Saxon co-own the affiliate CrossFit Cliffside, and there's a very interesting story that goes along with the naming of Cliffside. Him and his brother fell from a 75-foot cliff when they were both 12 years old, and they were pretty injured severely. And CrossFit was their way of recovering and getting back to where they were prior to the injury. Talk a little bit about that process, how CrossFit was their way to getting healthy and on the right path again after such a severe accident. And we talk about what some of the goals are now moving into the 2022 season. Spencer made some strides over the past couple of years, going from 40th to 36th to 30th in the 2021 season. But that individual spot at the CrossFit Game has since eluded him, and what it's going to take for him to finally get to that position. We enjoy this one. The Panchik family is amazing, and it's great to have another one here on the podcast, and we hope you enjoy it. Well, Spencer, how you doing, man? Thanks for taking the time to be with me and chat today.
I'm doing good. Really excited to be on.
Where are you calling in from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
So Cleveland, that's not your... You didn't grow up in Cleveland. That's just kind of new home base for you, right? Where you have the gym set up?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Pittsburgh, which is about 2-ish hours away. But we relocated to Cleveland. It was like 6-7 years ago.
Okay, because I saw you at, I don't know if it was a Cleveland Steelers football game, and you were living in Cleveland wearing Steelers jersey. I was like, that's dangerous, man. Are you safe doing something like that?
Cleveland's a lot different, but it's actually funny because we have an affiliate out here, and I'd say like half of our members are Cleveland fans and then half are Steeler fans.
Oh, you guys are right on the border, huh?
Yeah, well, it's so crazy. I mean, you have to be born in Cleveland to be a Browns fan.
Yeah, being a Browns fan is not the easiest thing in the world to do. One of our
certainly not.
Service is from the Cleveland area, and he's a Browns fan, but not too much redeeming qualities of that Browns team, even this year when you thought the things were looking pretty good early on.
They are diehard fans. I'll say that. Whether they're doing good or bad, they're there. So I'll give them that.
I can't say anything as a Giants fan. We're miserable. We've been for the past decade. But what do you think of the Steelers this year?
Not good, not bad.
Looks like Big Ben's swan song here. It's last go around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be his last hoorah. I don't know. It's just we don't have that many backups still. So I mean, Ben's all we have, and it's just as long as he stays healthy. I mean, I think we'll do decent.
Yeah, close to 40 years old is not the easiest thing in the world. I could talk about football all day, and I know Chad probably would jump in on the football side of things too. But I just saw you wearing that jersey, and I was a little bit like I was worried about your safety wearing that jersey. And
I actually, believe it or not, I didn't get tossed out of there, but like the fans were being so ruthless that they actually like relocated me out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts, but that's what I get for sitting in the dog pound.
Absolutely. Well, living in Cleveland now, you and your brother have opened up an affiliate. How long has the affiliate been open now?
So this past year in October, we just passed 3 years.
Amazing. And, going through a little bit of the backstory here, CrossFit Cliffside and everything like that, coming from mentality, coming from training with your brother, with Scott, and now having your own affiliate. I think the story behind Cliffside is pretty cool. And I mean, maybe not cool from your perspective, but there's a story there that I think is worth telling. Can you give a little insight into how the name came about and kind of what you and your brother went through?
Yeah. So when we were 12 years old, we had a hiking accident. Both of us fell 75 feet off of a cliff, and wow. We were life flighted to I keep wanting to say Cleveland, to Pittsburgh. This is back when we were living there. So we had a really bad accident there, and it took us out of schooling, sports, and that was really how we found CrossFit. We found CrossFit. My dad was actually he's been doing it he was doing it a year before us, and he's like, "Hey guys, like let's go down to CrossFit Pittsburgh. Like I just want you guys to come try this out." And we went in, we did a workout, and from that point we were hooked. And it just wasn't Saxon and I, but my older brother Scott, he suffered a ACL tear in college football. Mm-hmm. So he ended up going down to CrossFit Pittsburgh as well. It's kind of like a rehab, and that was really where we hit the ground running with that. And yeah, the rest is kind of history.
Wow. So I mean, just going back to that fall in and of itself, what happened there? Were you guys just the two of you, or were you with a group? How did that happen? It's the fact that both of you fell together. That seems kind of crazy.
Yeah. So we were with a group of friends, and one of the girls that we were with, she was walking on a path, and the path gave way. She fell down the cliff, and Saxon was like, "I got to get down and try and find a way down and get down and help." And he ended up slipping. And then once I saw that, I'm like, all right, I have to go try and do something. And I actually tried to find like an alternate route to get down there. And then it was in March. So like, I just like took a step, and then like the leaves were like ice, and it just took me down as well.
And you guys are 12 years old?
Yeah, we were 12 years old.
Wow.
Yes. So Saxon had a skull fracture. I had a concussion. I had a huge gash in my right leg. You could see my femur. I pulverized 3 metatarsals on my one leg. I had a broken thumb, and then just like some gashes and stuff on my face.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So going through that experience, you decided to name the CrossFit gym to commemorate that experience, like how impactful it was. Like you said, you found CrossFit through that experience, but is that the reason why you guys named it?
Yeah, that was honestly, that accident was just a blessing in disguise. And it led us really to where we are today. And if I've learned anything, it's being resilient and being able to just kind of get back up and find your path. And I always wanted to play college football and kind of like see where that took me. And that didn't work out. And really I found CrossFit, and that was kind of when we hit the ground running with it.
Well, to learn how to be that resilient at 12 years old, I mean, that's
yeah, it's funny because my dad owned a gym in Pittsburgh. After we went to CrossFit Pittsburgh for a little bit, my dad wanted to start something. So believe it or not, we actually started in a parking lot with a group of people with just sandbags. And then like people started coming in, people started chipping in money. And then we ended up getting a space and adding a little bit of equipment. Once we did that, grew a little bit bigger into a bigger space. And then we relocated to Cleveland. We opened CrossFit Mentality with Scott and just kind of helped him with that. And then we kind of advanced into our own path with CrossFit Cliffside.
And that's the old school CrossFit story right there. Anyone that's been around for 10 years or more, they all started in a parking lot or their own garage gym and then grew into something else. But you talked about your dad a lot and him being the one to get into CrossFit first. Can you tell us a little bit about his athletic background? I mean, I'm very curious because you guys are such incredible athletes. Is your dad also an incredible athlete?
My dad's a stud. I'll have to send you guys a picture of him. It was a picture of him and Scott flexing on a beach. That was actually I think they had sandbags in their hands, but that was like where they got the sandbag idea. And then we started in a parking lot, but he played high school sports growing up. He didn't really play any college sports, but once he had kids and we all started getting older, he started diving back into fitness, and he went down and started CrossFit with one of his buddies. And then that was when he got really excited and drank the Kool-Aid and brought the rest of us in on it.
Nice. Is he still going hard in CrossFit?
Yeah, he's 64 years old, but I mean, he's still doing rope climbs, burpees over the box. He loves it.
Nice. I love seeing that. And it's really cool that he brought you guys in. Now I'm very curious about the fall a little bit more as well, because I had no idea about that. I didn't know that story. And thinking about seeing you guys move through the years, you all move very well. Your mobility is good. Everything. I would never have guessed that you had an accident like that. Do you guys still have any issues that you carry with you into CrossFit that you still feel or that you have to work around?
No, not really. I broke or I pulverized the 3 metatarsals in my foot. So I have a few toes that are a little bit shorter, but I've never noticed any difference with that. I actually, one of the doctors told me I'd never be able to compete or run again because of it, but look at me now.
Right.
It's hard to accept that. And, especially at that young of an age, you when you're that young, you kind of have a screw loose in your head and you don't realize it. And it's like, I'm just going to go do it. And, you just don't want to accept any of that stuff. And, just from a young age, that was always my mentality with everything was you can't say that I can't do anything, because I'm going to go try it.
Yeah. At that age, you just want to play and nobody can tell you any different. Just let me play. So.
Exactly.
So you have slowly started to make some amazing strides over the course of the last few years in terms of progress. You're 25 years old. You're kind of like right in the middle of your CrossFit career right now. You're starting to kind of branch away from, being under Scott's shadow now that he's moving away from the competition side in the individual world. You went from 40 to 36 to 30 now in the world scene. Do you feel like you're slowly working towards your peak? What do you feel is kind of holding you back from being able to make that next big jump?
Yeah. So, me personally, I think it's just little 1 degree shifts every year. And, when you do that, you're going to constantly be in a, upward trajectory. And that's always my goal. My biggest concern is dropping a few places or anything that's going to like kind of set me back. And, I do see stuff like that. And like, that's stuff to like really pay attention to, because if you start seeing stuff like that, you need to kind of take a step back, evaluate what's going on and figure out like what you need to do to kind of keep progressing forward.
And in terms of weaknesses, where do you think the biggest ground can be made up in terms of your fitness level right now?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is just learning to trust myself. It's really easy to get caught up in the competition, and just being the youngest, there's 6 siblings in my family, and it was always competitive growing up. And something I always struggled was just looking at what everybody else was doing, and it's like, if he can do it, I can do it. Yes, that's true, but at the same time, you need to run your own race, and everybody's going to be at a different point, whether it's competing or just in their life. And just having those goals just for yourself to really focus on. And it's just putting up blinders and knowing that.
Where do you and Saxon fall in the 6?
We're the youngest.
You are. Okay. So you're the babies of the crew. So you have,
oh my,
4 older siblings, Scott included, obviously, to look up to in the fitness world. Are the rest of the siblings as fit as you guys? We just haven't seen them emerge on the scene yet?
So 2 of my other siblings are, they're teachers. And then my other brother, he's a police officer. So they found a little different passion, but yeah, it's just, they all do CrossFit. So they're not as competitive with it.
That's probably healthier that way. Would you say?
Yes. My sister, she's actually starting to get more competitive in it. She was on a team at a semifinal this year. So
all right.
She's starting to kind of progress up in the CrossFit space a little bit.
I love how that's like not even anything to the Panchik family.
Yeah,
She in the semifinal on a team. Nah, we won't even mention that. She's getting into it. She's done her first live.
She's been there the whole ride with all of us from the beginning, and it's really cool to be able to see that. And yeah, it's awesome.
Now, being an affiliate owner, you and your brother have owned the affiliate for, say, coming up on 3 years now. We have a lot of listeners who are coaches and gym owners themselves and have some aspirations to compete. Do you find it challenging? How do you manage being able to be a competitor at that level and still actually own a facility? We don't see too many owners being able to compete. Most of the athletes just focus completely on their competitive careers.
Yeah, so it's just time management and being able to kind of map out a schedule. I'd be lying if I said CrossFit wasn't progressing in a space where you have to train every day and most of the day. So this past year was when we brought on a full staff to really kind of help manage the facility and coach classes, and we just kind of overlooked everything. But really with kind of where CrossFit is progressing now, like I said, is being a full-time athlete. And for most people, it's not realistic to be able to start off as a full-time athlete. You kind of have to earn your seat at the table like any other sport. But yeah, it's managing your time from the beginning, and then just slowly building that foundation as you kind of build your way up in the sport. But for most people, you have to start somewhere. And for me personally, I noticed that running an affiliate was the best way to be able to do that, because you're in the gym all day.
Right. It's encouraging to think that, CrossFit athletes at the highest level have the ability now to train all day, right? Not that it's a necessity to be able to compete, but also that's a possibility with sponsorship opportunities and the, prize money being increased on a lot of the events. For you, is being a full-time athlete kind of the goal for the next foreseeable future, or do you like the balance of having something outside of competing, being an owner, and having something like that to kind of offset having to worry about competition and being an athlete 24/7?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I think anybody who's competing competitively in the sport of CrossFit wants to be a full-time athlete. And I think if you want to be the best in the sport, that's like, there's no doubt that that's the way that you have to progress. Especially, this year at the CrossFit Games, it was the first year that they had 15 events. Usually it's anywhere between 10 to 12 events. And it's really just starting to build up, and really training. It's starting to build up volume through everything. And you can block off time, but there's only so much time in the day. And obviously recovery is going to be a huge priority in that.
Yeah. And Chad, we were talking about this the other day. So I got 2 parts of this. One, just about how the competition season really is all year round. Remember, we were talking with Kelly about this, right? And how you kind of have to pick and choose maybe your seasons. Like, when are you trying to peak for? Are you trying, how many competitions are you realistically trying to shoot for throughout the season? Are you trying to do a lot of other international events because it maybe allows for more prize money to be, an opportunity there? How are you planning out a season with regards to when the peaks and valleys are happening? Obviously we're peaking for the games and for the Open, and that, but how many additional events do you think is realistic for you at this point in your career?
So when I look at the season, I look at how close events are. And so like I wanted to do the Dubai CrossFit Championship this year. So that one was end of December. And then I'm doing Wadapalooza as well, and that's the second week of January. When you look at that, you have really not even a month of training between the two of those. And then you obviously have a rest period, and then you have a deload week leading into that. So it's finding that balance, and it's hard if you start to stack too many on top of each other, because it's going to lead down a road, not a row. Mixing up my words. It's going to lead down the road of burning out. And that's something you don't want, especially because these outside events outside of the CrossFit Games season, those are supposed to be fun, and they're supposed to be really benchmarks on what you need to fix going into the regular season. And if you're utilizing it as kind of like that template, that's what you want to have. Mm-hmm. If you're just going there and you're just chasing the money only, yes, you may make some money, but by the time you get into the actual season, it's how are you feeling mentally? Did you have time to work on those weaknesses? Are you just going to be the same athlete that you were the year before because you were caught up in too many events? So I look at all those different factors when I'm trying to decide on events.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And Chad, there was another piece in there that I thought was interesting, just in terms of the question around this idea of balance and being a full-time athlete. You know, Spencer having the opportunity to be a gym owner and using that mm-hmm. time to maybe offset some of the mental stress that comes along with being mm-hmm. an athlete. Same thing along the lines of us being athletes back in the day and having things that we used. What were some of the things that you did outside of training when you were competing, Chad, that kind of allow you to get your mind away from the stress of being an athlete? Did you use anything to kind of help balance things out?
Not enough, definitely not enough. And I wish that, now that I'm a master's athlete and have that somewhat more figured out, I think about all the time that I wish I could go back and do things different. The only real distraction that I had was either going to school or the job that I had to have to support, having to pay for going to competitions. And of course, weightlifting is especially back then, is nowhere near as big as CrossFit. There's absolutely no money to be made, and there's still very little that you can get in weightlifting. So, having to have the job, that was probably a blessing for me, because it did distract me some to help benefit in a positive way. Otherwise, like for me, for weightlifting, you probably can't really train all day like you can in CrossFit. There's not enough things that you can do, right? It's, snatch, clean and jerk, squat, deadlift, press. Yeah, there's some other accessory exercises that you can do and stuff like that, but that would be a little less optimal to train that much. So I think as a weightlifter, I almost wish I would have had more to distract me. I talk about all the time, having Ella, my daughter, was one of the best things that happened to my ability to be the best lifter that I could be, because it was that distraction that really took it away. So, for you, Spencer, I personally think it's a good thing that you have the gym and that to deal with and everything else. I'm not sure if you see it that way as well, but I do wonder, along these lines of owning an affiliate, trying to be the best CrossFit competitor that you can be, and seeing Scott basically go through all that as well. Is there any one or two things that you've been able to take from him in that kind of scenario?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing I took from Scott is to enjoy training. And you train all year for an event, and it goes by in a weekend. All those hours for one weekend, and like that weekend is just like the snap of a finger. So really the times that you remember are the times of training, the people that you're training with, the people that support you. Those are the times that you want to make sure that you enjoy. Obviously, like going out and winning is awesome, but like I said, like those little things are going to be the things that you're actually going to remember. Like I won't forget, we went down, we did a team of 3 at Wadapalooza, and we just went down and just did it for fun. It was awesome, because leading up for like a month into that, it was just us 3 like doing team workouts together, and then like going down there and kind of like seeing where we stacked up. But like that was like a moment that I really like cherish and remember with the 3 of us.
Yeah. Nice. For me, training was never hard. In fact, if it was true that for weightlifting, if you train all day, 8 hours a day, that wouldn't be an issue for me to do. I'd be able to do it. do you enjoy training? Do you enjoy the process? Is it ever hard for you to wake up one day and be like, oh, I got to go train for, 3 to 5 hours or however long it is? Is it easy for you?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, most days it's easy. And it's really just, it's remembering your goal and why you're doing it. If you don't have a good reason on waking up every day and training, then you're probably not going to last in the sport. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned is, doing everything with a purpose and remembering that purpose as you train. Yes, you're going to have days where you get up and you're like, oh, like I'm so sore, I don't want to do this, or I'm not feeling that. And it's just once you get moving and you're like, all right, like I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead, Chad.
Well, you brought up a word, purpose, and we talk about purpose a lot. Of course, we're, Dave and I are technicians. We, technique matters, technique over anything basically. And then you can build weight and build on the movement and everything else from there. And that's a major purpose that we have for anybody that we come across, for ourselves and our training and everything else. And I want to talk about purposeful movement a little bit with you. One of the things that I obviously always look at if I'm scrolling through Instagram, doesn't matter who it is. If someone's lifting, I'll stop and I'll watch it. And I'm just looking at their movement, looking at their technique. I'm looking at their tendencies. And one of the things that I noticed with you, you and the other Panchik brothers are good technicians. You guys know how to snatch and clean and jerk very well. You lift very well. You're all very talented in that way. But one of the things that I noticed with you and a complex that you posted not long ago was you did a heavy clean and then you did 2 or 3 or 4 front squats after that. And I think you did a couple of different posts where you did that. But what I noticed from athletes that I see do that complex, or I watch their cleans and I watch their front squats separately, is that they're clean on the elite level, on the elite CrossFit level, and for a lot of athletes on the elite weightlifting level, and for weightlifters that are novice as well. I see this all the time where they will receive their clean in a buried position. They're as low as they can go. They cannot physically go any lower, but their front squat looks completely different. So now maybe their front squat, they're using a little bit of a different foot position and they're stopping at parallel or hip crease below knee, that CrossFit standard, but the bottom position looks completely different. What I noticed about you, and I got chills when I saw it because I don't see this very often, again, even with elite weightlifters, your front squat looked the same as your clean did that you performed right before that. So my question is, why are you different in that way? Why, are you purposefully, getting to that full depth position within that complex?
Yeah. I'd say honestly, I think it's from lifting from such a young age. And something that I've been really trying to work on is building up like some tempo squats and being able to stop in different positions. But honestly, like when I was lifting younger, it was I'd pull and I would catch everything like bottomed out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, that just goes back to like me trying to chase numbers. And obviously I feel like I've gotten a little bit smarter with that. But that was just like, I was never scared to pull under a barbell, no matter how heavy it was, whether I stood it up or not. And I definitely think some of those like tendencies have carried over to my training now. But I'd say I'm trying to get a little bit better and be smarter with the amount of weight that I'm lifting and really like that receiving position for a lot of it. But me personally, I've been trying to kind of like replicate like my squats with my front squats, just because I want to build strength in that position.
Oh man, you just made Chad's day right there.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I love the consistency. We need to work that bottom position with squats, not just the cleans. And so, I'm just seeing athletes all the time be very compensated with their heavy cleans or their heavy snatches because they're never in that, that full depth position. So I'm glad to see you working on it and doing that kind of thing. Would you say purposeful in your other squats? So let's take your back squat, the back squat, in weightlifting, we do high bar back squats and, most of us will go all the way down with our back squats to try to mimic the front squat as much as possible. Do you back squats out of the rack purposely do them in any certain way?
So my stance is, I think it's a little bit closer on my back squat. I want to try and like build it out a little bit, but I feel like with the stance that I have, I get like a little bit of a little bit of a pop as I kind of hit the bottom position and come up of it, or to come out of it. So, yeah, I'd say my stance is maybe slightly closer, but it's probably not too far off.
Gotcha.
It definitely used to be a lot deeper.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's a good thing that you started so young, because you were able to carry that good mobility into your age and what you're able to do now. What are your current snatch and clean and jerk numbers?
So right now my snatch is 300, and then my clean and jerk is 365.
Wow. Amazing.
But I haven't tested those for a little while.
Yeah.
What's your weight?
My body weight?
Yeah.
Like 180-ish.
That's incredible, man. 300 and 365. That's right there at top. Now you get extra motivation. I mean, obviously you're competitive and there are a lot of other things going on in CrossFit, but snatch and clean and jerk specifically, how much do you want to beat your brothers?
So I used to love lifting. I actually backed off it a little bit, probably the last like year and a half, just to try and get better at like some endurance stuff. But Scott and I, we used to battle it out all the time with lifting, and Saxon was always a little bit behind on the lifting. So he'd get excited because he'd PR, but he was like, it's not where you guys are at. But the tables really turned the last like year and a half as I started working on endurance, and Saxon started working on strength, and we're very, very balanced now. And it makes training a lot of fun.
And that's actually my question for you guys with regards to training together. We've had a lot of other games athletes on here, and what we've been seeing over the past year plus, last couple of years, athletes moving to specific locations to train in these kind of super teams, whether that be in Boston area or Tennessee or wherever else it may be. Some athletes are all for it. Some athletes definitely see the benefits of being around athletes that are at the top level to push them on a daily basis. Other athletes, we have Vellner on that's like completely against that. Says like, I don't need that additional stress on a daily basis. I need to, be on my own, have my coach kind of give me my workouts. I know how to push myself. And then every once in a while, I'll sporadically go out and train with a group and get that additional push. But it's not something that I think benefits me on a daily basis. You guys have a very unique situation.
Yeah.
You own a gym with someone who's your direct competitor. You have Scott that's not that far away that you can train with on a regular basis. And your siblings, you have that bloodline that kind of adds another component to it. Do you feel like training with your brothers and owning an affiliate actually enhances your ability to kind of continue to push each other? Or do you see that as potentially a detriment too, that you're always kind of like competing against each other on a daily basis, where you can potentially run each other down a little bit more?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I feel like this is the first year that we finally mastered it. When it was Saxon, Scott, and I, and we all trained together, it was a bloodbath every day, and it was just last man standing.
Right.
But then as we kind of moved away and opened up our affiliate, Saxon and I, we would train together, and we would do some workouts together, some workouts not together. But the ones we did together were like, again, we were going head to head, and it always end up with somebody being upset. But I'd say this past year, it was way different. We would do workouts together, but he would maybe go first or I'd go second, and then we would like tweak up a few things. But really, I think we found the balance of being able to do that. And I think the biggest thing is wanting to see each other succeed. If I were to do that with any other athlete, I don't think I could. Because obviously you want to see people succeed, but they're your competitors as well. And having somebody that's your own blood, especially your twin brother, we want to see each other succeed just as bad, if not more. And it allows us to enjoy training a lot more. And then on top of that, it's finding that balance of like, hey, like, I don't want to do this one with you. Like, I'm going to tweak it up just a little bit. Like, this is going to make me better. I know this is going to make you better. But it still allows us to be like, okay, like, we're good. Like our times are still competitive. Like, it's not like either one of us is falling off the wagon.
Now that's interesting. So you've created an environment where you don't have to feel like there's a direct competition, but you can still be in the gym together. You can still kind of set workouts up where you're both kind of going at the same time.
Yep. So like the biggest thing that we'll do together is like our strengths, because our strengths are very similar, and our percents are always pretty close. So it allows us to do that stuff together. Maybe some like timed endurance stuff where it's like we're on the runner. Maybe it's like 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, and it doesn't really, stuff like that. That doesn't matter. But every once in a while we'll do workouts together where it's he goes through it and then I go through it, or it's just a 1-to-1 where it's just like it's just good work and good company.
So your affiliate owners, you're training at the highest level. Are you programming for the gym and programming for yourselves? How does that work?
Yeah. So Saxon actually does a lot of the programming for the gym. And then we just kind of, with our programming for ourselves, we just kind of go off of feel. We were working with Facundo for a little bit, and he helped Saxon through Rogue, and we're still working together right now, but it's just we've taken so much time off right now to just kind of figure out some stuff on our own, and we just don't want to burn out. So it's just kind of like dialing everything back and figuring it out and reevaluating like what we want to work on. And then we'll link back up and go through and just kind of build up a game plan for the season.
Yeah. The burnout piece seems to be pretty critical, and seems like Scott is such a great person to lean on when it comes to how to plan accordingly. He's been at the games for over a decade. I mean, if there's anybody that knows the ins and outs on how to have a long career, it's him, right? So yeah. Are you able to kind of bounce ideas off of him with regards to training load? And you guys are mid-20s right now. You're probably just like, I can handle, 4 or 5 workouts a day, but is that the smartest thing for me to be able to do?
Yeah, we definitely bounce ideas off each other. And really, like I said, right now, it's awesome having a coach. And I think right now with kind of where our season's at, it's just listening to your body. It's easy to look at it like I could go into like True Coach and look and be like, okay, like I have this, and this today, but like mentally, how am I feeling? Like, what do I want to do? And by being able to just kind of pick and choose things, it makes it a lot easier on not only just the body, but the mind.
For all of you out there who have ever wanted to come to a Power Monkey camp out in Tennessee but haven't been able to for whatever reason, maybe camp is a little bit outside of your budget, maybe you live in another country and can't make it out this way, maybe it's COVID-related restrictions, or maybe you just can't take a full week off from work, we have created an option that brings Power Monkey Camp to you in your own home with Power Monkey Camp Online. It is a full digital version of everything that we teach in our stations at camp, but now in a digital format. It's awesome. It's one of our products that we're most proud of. We shot it during the pandemic to be able to give us a new way to get people to learn with us, with our top tier coaches, go through handstands, weightlifting, endurance training, kettlebell training, jump rope, programming lectures, nutrition, sleep lectures, and much, much more. It really is a well-rounded approach to what we teach out in our camps in Tennessee, but in a new digital and easily accessible format. One of the cool features that we're really proud of is now there's a testing format along with it. So you have to show proficiency before you can move on to the next seminar. You can learn things at your own pace. You can go back and rewatch, relearn things. We know that coming to camp can be a ton of information. It's one of the reasons why people keep coming back time and time again to be with us out in Tennessee. This is a way for you to work through the information at your own pace and learn it at a pace that's a little bit appropriate for the way that you live your life. It's also certified with CrossFit, NASM, and AFAA, so if you're looking for some continuing education along with it, you can get your credits there. Go to academy.powermonkeyfitness.com. Again, that's academy.powermonkeyfitness.com, and check out Power Monkey Camp Online today.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's critical for any athlete to really reach their potential. I mean, some athletes are going to do better with a coach. Some athletes are going to do better on their own. I would say the latter is probably a little more rare, but I think every athlete needs at least an extent of independence, right? In that they are going to take the program from the coach and they're going to make those adjustments. They're going to make those smart, dedicated adjustments, not necessarily what they want to do, but what they need to do for that day, what they understand their body is telling them to do. So it's at 25, it's amazing to me that you're there. I mean, 25 is not incredibly young. We've talked to other athletes on here, Dave, recently at teenage.
17.
They're like, I was just amazed at how mature they were. And, me nowhere near that, and taking me to be a
Still
master
nowhere
to
near that.
what's that?
Still nowhere near that.
Still nowhere, still trying to figure that out for sure. But I mean, I'm just sitting here wishing that I was of that mindset and of that understanding at 25 for sure.
Yeah. I think for us, it was just like just being around like older people. And, even like when we got into CrossFit, when we moved out here, we moved out to Ohio when we were like 17, 18 years old. And, we went from a private school to a public school. And, we had enough credits. So our junior and senior year, we were in school from like 9 to like 11:30.
Nice.
So we would just go into the gym and train the rest of the day, but it was always being surrounded by, just people like Scott and my dad, and, just like an older group of people. And, it's so different because it's so easy. And I just had a conversation with a kid about this. He's 21, I believe, 21 or 22 years old. And he's just like, how do you find that balance of like not wanting to go out with like your friends and partying and drinking, and like how do you fight that urge? And it's really like finding balance of like what do you enjoy? What are your goals? And is something like that going to bring you happiness for a long time, or is it going to be something that brings you happiness for a short period of time? And, it's really finding balance. Like, yes, when you're at a younger age, you want to be able to enjoy it, but you also want to remember, like, you want to do what everybody else isn't doing. It's so easy to get caught up in, just like I don't even want to say a bad group of people, but unless you're training every day, and, I know you guys understand it, but, for anybody else, it's if you want to be the best at something, you have to do it all the time, or at least like recovery and, nutrition, just doing the little things outside of the gym is what's going to make you very, very great in your sport. And unless you do it, you really don't understand it.
Yeah, you got to sacrifice. There's got to be lots of sacrifices, lots of little sacrifices that a lot of people don't even think about, but it's got to, you have to be so dedicated to that goal that you are willing to make those sacrifices. And I think you're right there, Spencer. It's not an easy thing to explain, and it's not an easy thing for a lot of people to understand if they haven't had that priority of competing to the best of their ability in something. They've had other priorities that, they spend their time on and that make them happy. And that's fine as well, but everybody basically prioritizes their time to something. It's just a matter of what that is towards.
Exactly.
So do you find yourself to be a mentor for a lot of the guys in the gym? You're 25, so in a lot of cases you're kind of mid-career, but you mentioned talking to somebody a little bit younger, trying to gain some advice and guidance. Do you look at yourself as kind of a mentor to the other kids in the gym that are kind of looking to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely made my mistakes at a young age. And if I can help guide somebody down a path of something that I wish that I didn't do, or at least give like the reason on like why I did it or why I didn't do it. Like I really want to be able to do that and help people out. And, that way they don't have to learn the hard way. And I definitely think there's times in life where you got to let people kind of touch a hot stove to realize that it's hot. But, at the same time, it's experience and, really just learning from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reason why I ask, because, your brother, we have a little bit more experience with Scott, having come to camp a few times, and obviously he's just been around the scene for so long, and he's just one of the most genuinely good people that's in the community. And he's the kind of person you kind of want to emulate. People want to look up to Scott, want to be like him, not just as a competitor, but as a person. And it seems like you and your brother have followed in his footsteps as well, in terms of just quality of character and being able to say, not only am I a great athlete, but I'm a great person too. And it probably speaks to the testament of your parents in terms of how they raise you and everything like that. But I think that's important, right? What are we trying to do here? We're trying to raise good competitors, but also people that can contribute to society as well, right? People that are doing more than just what their numbers are in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, especially in the sport of CrossFit, it's any individual sport, it's you versus another person. And you don't want to give your competitors an edge in a way, but it's like, if you're working with younger people, I don't know. I just find like a deep passion in working with younger people, because I understand like how dedicated you have to be to a sport that takes such a small percentage to the next level. And it's not just about training. Like, so many people go into the gym every day and they train very, very hard, and they probably train harder than a lot of games athletes, but they're not at the games because they're not doing the little things outside of the gym to be there. You look at stuff of getting enough sleep, nutrition. Are they going out and drinking? Are they spending time watching Netflix till 2 a.m.? But it's the people that not only are working hard in the gym, but the people that are outside the gym and they're doing those little things right. And again, that just goes back to that 1 degree shift. And you make a 1 degree shift, and again, if you look at an airplane and it's going straight, you make a 1 degree shift, it's going to constantly keep going up, and you'll get there. It's not if, it's when.
Mm-hmm. Man, Spencer, I'm guilty of all those things right now. I'm gonna have to check myself a little bit.
Chad's watching Netflix right now.
Exactly. Yeah, got that show going in the background. Well, I want to wonder, and I don't know if you'll admit to this or not, if it's any different, but I wonder if Scott is really that guy, because my wife would say that what a lot of people say about me is not true. A lot of people say I'm a quiet, nice guy, but she'll say, nope, he's an asshole. That's the real Chad.
People say you're an asshole. I think
that's so is Scott really an asshole, when you guys are just by yourselves?
No, not at all. He's a guy that I feel like I can talk to and call anytime. And he's gonna at least give you guidance. He may not always give you the answer you want to hear, but he's gonna kind of give you a direction on really like what he thinks is right, or maybe what's right for you just individually.
Nice.
So we're getting towards the end here, but we have your brother coming up on a podcast. We have Saxon coming on in a couple of days, and we want to make sure that we're asking him appropriate questions, meaning we want to make sure we're embarrassing him. So are there any things that you would want us to ask as a twin sibling to a brother that is coming up on a podcast in a couple of days?
Oh, that's a good one.
Think about it for a second. Maybe there's something that comes to mind that you would want the whole world to know that maybe he doesn't.
I don't know, honestly. I'm trying to think.
Is he sitting right next to you and is like?
He's definitely not.
Well, after you think about it for a little bit, I want you to send Jordan a message and let us know what that is, because we need some ammunition, and just be lucky that you were the first one.
He's been on the dad train lately, so I haven't even seen him. When he's in, he's just training and going back to the kids.
Yeah, I'm curious, coming back to what Chad said earlier, I'm going to ask him about that, but just having the kid, if that's actually helped.
He has two.
He has twins, right? Yeah. So I'm curious if that has actually helped his training, or if he's just in such an early stage right now that sleep is the biggest issue. But Chad, whenever you mention that having Ella, made you into a better athlete, I've always been like shocked by that. I've always been like, I can't believe that having a kid actually allowed you to become better as an athlete because of all that goes into raising a child. But the more that you kind of explain it, the more you've talked about it, I'm curious to know whether or not it would have allowed me to kind of compartmentalize things and to shut out the shit that goes on in training and not bring it home with you. And to be able to say there are other things that are more important than, whether or not I hit this routine or learned this new skill or was having this mental block, to be able to compartmentalize it. And I'm curious if Saxon has noticed any of that because of the kids being around now. But
he's learning balance, I'll tell you that. Yeah. I'll walk over because we have a gym in his house, and in the summer it was nice because we could train outside. But like, I'd walk over and it's just like, here, hold this one. She just threw up. And he's like walking out, he has like vomit all over him.
That's the life, man. That's the life. No joke. Are you interested in that yourself, or right now are you just happy being the uncle?
I'm the funkle right now. But I'm not at that stage yet. Right now it's just managing, competing, and the affiliate.
So we talked a little bit about your lifting side of things, movement looking really good at bottom part of your squat, and Chad being really proud of the way that you lift. On the gymnastics side of things, was that something that came naturally to you, or was gymnastics something that took maybe a little bit longer than the lifts?
I'd say so I remember learning most of the stuff we actually learned online. And I'm sure there's probably YouTube videos online that we watched from both of you guys. But like most of the stuff we learned online, and it took time, obviously, but we were very, very mobile as kids, and a lot of that stuff came relatively easy for us.
But you also mentioned having like football as kind of the career path, maybe because Scott was a football player and you want to live up to what your big brother's doing, things like that. But starting at 12 years old, you've become kind of the first generation of athletes that started with CrossFit, that didn't really go on to play high school other sports and then use what they learned there to transition to CrossFit. Do you feel like you missed out on anything that you wish you would have pursued otherwise, sport-wise, or do you feel like you fell into the right one?
I definitely feel like I fell into the right one. When I moved to Ohio, Scott's like, you guys got to play a sport. So we wrestled when we were younger, and then we came back out our junior year and wrestled. But I loved wrestling. I thought it was so much fun. But it's that individual sport that I really like. And obviously, like wrestling, like there's a difference between wrestling when you're 12, 13 years old and then wrestling when you're 17, 18 years old. Kids are just getting stronger and your body's just getting beat up. And what I learned through wrestling was, all right, if I'm going to beat up my body, then I'm going to do it doing something that I can see myself doing for a long time. And that was when like I went really all in on CrossFit.
Speaking of wrestling and things like that, Chad, did you ever wrestle?
No, we didn't have wrestling in my little small town of 1,500 backwoods of Oklahoma. So unfortunately, the closest I got was wrestling with my friends, screwing around. And I will say, I don't remember ever being taken down. So I think I would have been a good wrestler.
All right, we'll have to test this out at camp next time around.
No, there's too many grapplers at camp. I don't want any part of it because I don't know what I'm doing.
I used to wrestle for a long time when I was a kid too. I loved it. And, we had Meg Reardon on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and she mentioned her doing some Spartan events, Spartan races, like that. And one of the events that they threw out at her was a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And they actually had that in. They're basically like trying to get somebody in almost like a sumo match where you had to get
out of the circle.
Out of the circle. Would you think that would be a good CrossFit test? Do you ever see anything like that coming up as a potential? Would you like to see that being thrown out there?
I was actually invited out to that Spartan thing, and I saw that they were doing that. I always thought it would be really, really cool, but I also think that like in something like that, like body, like just in high school, like wrestling alone, like Saxon and I, we were so much stronger than every other athlete, even on the wrestling team, that like we would learn like one or two moves, and we were like pinning like all-American athletes in wrestling, but it was just pure strength. So I think there's such a strength aspect to it. Obviously wrestling's different than like Chad was saying with like grappling, and you get like the small guys that just know like just like leverage and stuff like that. But I think it'd be cool, but I definitely think there's like I think of like me going against somebody like Royce Dunn. He's like 6'2", 230 pounds, and I'm 5'8", 180.
I don't know. It would be kind of interesting.
But I would do it.
It would be terrifying. It would be terrifying, but interesting at the same time.
I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to throw in a new station at camp. I know Jordan would be up for some kind of grappling or wrestling.
Yeah, that'd be fine. But I would rather just get a bunch of people together that know nothing about wrestling or grappling and just do some of those sumo challenges and just see what happens.
Yeah,
no waivers signed or anything.
I think you'd be so surprised.
Spencer, I don't know if you know this. When you came to camp, I don't think you were there for our Thursday night, but we have a challenge night on Thursday night. It's like ends up being like handstand contests and other stupid little challenges that we throw out at each other. we had a tuna eating contest one year that became pretty epic, but there's always like some kind of weird challenge. I think we could probably throw in some kind of wrestling challenge, as long as the jiu-jitsu guys don't come into the equation. No Duke, no Jordan, no Martone, no Zach. None of those guys.
So what we used to do in basketball was like we'd put two people and they'd be like back to back, and you had to like push somebody out of the circle. So it'd be like that. Like, I mean, it was basically who had the strongest legs, but it was like a similar concept.
I better start squatting again right now so I can be prepared for that.
I will not be participating in that one.
You can use your hands. You can use your arms.
Yeah, my hands.
Handstand.
I'll push
your
that.
arms against my legs. That'll be a pretty even match right there, I think.
Done. If you had a workout, what's kind of your go-to workout? If you had last day of the games, last workout, you're on the cusp of going to on the podium, what workout do you want to see come up?
Max snatch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like anything with handstand push-ups. Like you throw like some heavy snatches and like some handstand push-ups, and I would love it.
See that? That's a power monkey answer right there.
That's our kind of guy right there. Yeah, it would have been better without the handstand, but I'll take it.
I love it, man. Well, before we get you out of here, a couple quick questions that should be kind of rapid fire. First one. I don't know. With his previous answer, I don't know what we're going to get on.
I don't either.
What sport or discipline do you prefer, weightlifting or gymnastics?
That's such a tough one. Weightlifting. I'd probably say weightlifting.
All right.
Sorry.
Yes. No, say no more. Say no more. You don't have to explain.
A heavy barbell.
It's horseshit. I don't know. It's like five sets in a row.
It might be. Yeah, it's 4 or 5 in a row. I
was laughing it off for a little while. Like, hey, Dad, it's part of your Hall of Fame month. We're just giving you a like weightlifting. Now it's getting a little bit annoying. Like,
it depends how many reps.
I just hope his twin follows suit. Yeah, but no, Spencer, I'll actually agree with you on that. If it's, I mean, honestly, any more than like 2 or 3, I would probably rather do handstand push-ups, to be honest with
you. Yeah, those are the workouts that I like going against Chad with. As long as it's under 135 and more than 5 reps, then I'll compete against Chad.
Yeah.
See, if I had to pick, I'd pick like a 1 rep like lift, but like high volume gymnastics.
Yeah, I'll take that. No, actually, I won't lift.
No, I'll take that. Yeah, no, Dave, you don't want that.
I'll take heavy,
heavy right there.
Gymnastics. Yeah. And put a weight vest on me and I'll do gymnastic stuff. But all right, Chad, you got another one under your belt there. I'm gonna have to reach out to Saxon prior to give him a heads up.
Send him a little money. Yeah.
Next question. Any guests that you think would be great for us to have on the podcast, excluding a Panchik brother? Maybe your sister.
My sister would be a good one.
Yeah, she's been doing CrossFit for so long, right?
Yeah, like I'd like to see like where her mind is after watching everything.
Is she in the same city as you? Is she training at the same gym, or is she somewhere else?
She's at Mentality.
Okay, cool.
She's a coach there, actually.
Oh, nice.
How far away are you from Mentality?
We're about 25 minutes.
Okay, you guys are down the block.
Pretty close.
Yeah. All right. So your sister, I kind of baited you into that one, but is there someone else that you think would be a good guest for us to have on?
Are we talking CrossFit or
anybody that you think would be a good interview?
I have a really good one. It's a guy, he travels around and does like a lot of like body and like mindset training with us, but he gets to see like all the behind the scenes of really like what goes into a competition. And he's traveled from Brazil to Dubai to the CrossFit Games, and he travels literally everywhere with us when we compete. But he probably has some really good stories of what it's like and the stress behind like being a coach in CrossFit.
What's his name?
Greg Russo.
All right, we got to see if Jordan can start doing some reaching out. That would be great.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll jot it down. All right, last few here for you. Any books you've come across recently that you'd recommend to the listeners?
I do a lot of like audio books and like mindset books. I'd have to pull up a whole list. I haven't read one for quite some time. I don't know. It's a tough question. I'd have to get back to you and give you a few of them.
Yeah, it's always a tough one. It's definitely a tough one if you don't have a book like that you're currently reading or just finished one or something like that. So
Yeah.
So no worries, no worries. We got plenty on the list, so we don't really need another one. But Spencer, man, it was great to chat with you. Great to get to know you a little bit more. I look forward to keeping up with you and seeing how you do. Do you have anything coming up that you want folks to know about, or any parting words for our listeners?
Yeah, I'll be down at Wadapalooza, so that would be my next competition on tap. So
is Dubai not happening?
No, that's happening. I decided to do Wadapalooza over Dubai.
Gotcha.
It's closer, and it's always a good time.
Slightly closer, yeah.
Yeah, Wadapalooza is an incredible event. I love going there even more than the games at this point, to be honest.
Oh, it's so cool. You get like the lights, and it's such a cool like Miami vibe.
Well, just Miami in January too is always not such a bad thing to,
especially living in Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. What's your IG handle where people can keep up with you
Spencer
if they're not following you already?
Panchik.
Spencer_Panchik. There you go. Well, to our listeners out there, guys, be sure to check that out. Give them a follow if you're not already. As always, we very much appreciate you guys listening in. Be sure to head over to powermonkeyfitness.com for services and upcoming events. Also, check out our Instagram pages for regular teaching and technical content at Power Monkey Fitness, at Dave Durante, and at Ollie Chad. On behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, we're your host. I'm Chad Vaughn with Dave Durante. And until next time, guys, thank you all for listening.